Hello, it's me, Alex. Today, I would like to welcome you to the first episode ever of the Alchemist Knits Knitting Podcast. I've been wanting to make a knitting podcast for a while because I just absolutely love watching them on YouTube. Like, I'll watch my friends' makeup videos and then I'll watch like all of the knitting podcasts, and they make me super happy because I just love watching people like talk about all the things that they're making and what they want to make and what they have made, and it's so fun. So I've been wanting to do that for like a minute. I'm definitely making this sooner than I had anticipated because I'm gonna start this off with a story time. So I plan on filming a makeup video today. It is Sunday, March 13th when I'm filming this, but I can't because my face hurts. So here's what happened. So Case is out of town for a like spring break intensive class that they were doing. So, but there was a concert that I really wanted to see, so I had my dad come up, and he and I went to the concert together because we share similar music tastes. So we went to see Meet Me at the Altar at Baltimore Soundstage on Thursday, and it was amazing, and I loved it so very much. I was there primarily for them, but I really enjoyed all the other bands that were there too. They played with Anxious, Hot Mulligan, and Knuckle Puck, and all of the other bands were really good too. I hadn't really ever listened to any of the others before, but I definitely will be now, especially Hot Mulligan. Like, I think that was probably my dad's favorite. Anyway, got this t-shirt, met the band also. They are like the sweetest human beings. But anyway, the makeup that I did for that night, I decided to use one of my Melt gel liners as a cream shadow base, which I've done before with no problem, but I hadn't ever used the black one as a cream shadow base. But I was like, you know what, this will be like one of those shows where I should wear something like that. Anyway, I had such a hard time getting it off that night that like for 2 days, Friday and Saturday, my eyes were like incredibly swollen, and the swelling has gone down, but there's like just crusty dry skin all over both of my eyes, and I'm like constantly moisturizing, and it's still not going away. I'm hoping that maybe, you know, if I keep up the skincare that I've been doing, that I'll be able to film with some makeup tomorrow, because the day after the concert, a makeup order came in, and so I'm hoping that this will be the next video after I film this and after y'all are seeing this. But I got the Lethal Cosmetics Night Flower palette, which is just beautiful, and it's one of the like first real like big treat myself things I've done in a while. And I got a cream gel liner in Fidelity, which I'm very excited to use because I love purple, but really hesitant to use cream gel liners after that experience. So anyway, long story short, I can't put makeup on my face until my eyes stop hurting. I'm really hoping that my eyes will like be kind of back to normal where I can put makeup on them tomorrow. The timing of that just was garbage, but if it's any consolation, that means y'all get a knitting podcast a bit sooner than I had originally planned. So let me take a sip of the tea that has definitely gone way too cold, because I made it and then Case called and we talked for like a half hour and I forgot about this, so room temperature. That was a Celestial Seasonings gingerbread spice tea that I got in a Misfits Market box. It's fantastic. I love it. It's very delicious. It's like kind of less delicious since it's lukewarm now, but that's fine. So, knitting podcast. Let's just like talk about the things that I have been making, because I have some, yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself for some of the things I made recently. I'm gonna just catch y'all up on some of the more major things. So let's go. So I have one major finished object with me. This was Case's Christmas gift. I finished it like 2 weeks into January. I made the Critical Knit sweater from Suki Mountain Fibers. Yeah, so basically I had seen this sweater on the knitting subreddit when it was still like in the design process, and I was like, I need this pattern to come out ASAP, because Case is a huge Dungeons and Dragons player, and I wanted to make it for them for Christmas. I was very scared too because I think we all know about the sweater curse of like, you knit a sweater for your significant other and then they break up with you. I think I've shared my thoughts on the sweater curse before, and also pardon my hair, it's being very weird today. But my thoughts on the sweater curse are like, it's more that through the process of knitting a sweater, you realize if your significant other is knit worthy or not. I've always known that Case is knit worthy because I've made them like smaller things and they always understand like how much effort goes into knitting a thing, because I started this October and I finished this I finished this like early January. This is in the size men's extra large and it fits perfectly, which I'm really happy about because I feel like, you know, when you're knitting for yourself, you can easily like, you know, size as you go. But it's a lot harder to do that when you're knitting for someone else. But yeah, it has like the little symbols around the cuffs. They also have an option where you can put some symbols around like the bottom hem, but I didn't quite want to do that. But it has the D20s and I love these colors for them. This is very Casey, and I have a lot of this yarn left over too because I bought a bit more than what I had needed, but it's always good to buy more than less. I especially have a whole lot of this sort of oatmeal-y type color, and I mean, if you've watched my channel before, you know that this isn't a color that I would personally wear, so I need to figure out like what I want to do with that. I have a couple ideas, but overall I'm really happy with how this turned out, because this was also kind of my first real venture into color work. And I think it turned out really well. I'll have to credit a lot of my local yarn shop to this. So ever since I moved, I've been attending a knitting group at my local yarn shop here in Baltimore, Lovely Yarns, every other Thursday. And they're super great. I mean, this was kind of one of the first places that I had gone to when I was really exploring the area. My boss is a knitter as well, so she recommended it to me. And anyway, the group is super great and they kind of showed me like some tips and tricks with color work. I think definitely next time I'll need to work on like holding the yarn on the inside a little bit less tight, because while the blocking got a lot of that out and you definitely don't notice it as much when like they're wearing it, it's still like a little bit puckery, but I think all in all for a first color work, this is really nice. And Case loves it, which is probably the part that makes me happiest. They've only worn it like a couple of times since I gave it to them, but their reasoning is super sweet. They said that they only wanted to wear it when they knew that they were going to have a good day, so they never associated anything I made them with a bad day, which is super sweet. So I'm gonna go put this back in their drawer after this podcast, but I wanted to share that with y'all. So that's kind of like my only major finished object that I have here with me. I finished my dad's socks for Christmas and he really liked them. I think that went super well. That's how I discovered that I really don't like knitting socks, at least not on double pointed needles. I'm going to try the magic loop method because my dad really liked the socks and he wears them a lot. And I love my dad, so if I knit even one pair of socks a year, I will knit it for him if he likes it, but I'm not necessarily going to go out of my way to knit socks for socks' sake, I think. But I want to try the magic loop method to see if that, does it for me, because I kind of feel like just with how tiny the needles are, it can feel very fiddly and take a lot of time for something very small, because I feel like you can't really knit a whole lot of chunky socks. I feel like that doesn't look really great, but I'm glad my dad liked his socks. And then I also knit my mom this kind of scarfy thing that was done in mosaic style knitting for Christmas, and that turned out really great. I had a really good time knitting that. I love doing mosaic knitting now. So I'm trying to find more patterns that I like in that style, because I find mosaic style stuff to be very fun to make. So that's one of my goals for this year, is to knit more in mosaic knitting. Now, on to my WIPs, my works in progress. So I've decided this year I'm going to really take the time to knit a lot of things for myself. I've noticed as an adult, I have really shied away from knitting garments for myself, even though that's what I would knit the most, because like the last real like garment I knit for myself was when I was like in high school. You know, I used to knit sweaters for myself all the time. For me, knitting a full garment for myself is going to take a bit longer, and I don't know, maybe it's like a self-worth thing or something where I'm just like, I'm not deserving of a full sweater that I take time on myself, but I am though. So I have like a lot of different patterns that I want to make for myself, and I'm going to get nice yarn to do it, and it's going to be super great, and I'm going to like learn techniques on how to do things, because I think that's the other thing as well, is that a lot of the types of clothes that I like to wear, like very bright, bold, patterny type clothes, those usually require techniques that I don't quite know how to do yet, which kind of intimidates me because I'm very afraid of being bad at things, as I think we all are. So I'm going to practice a lot of grace with myself while I'm learning a lot of this stuff. I have given up self-doubt for Lent, which I think I might do a whole video on why I give up the things that I do for Lent. But anyway, I generally, starting last year, I gave up bullshit for Lent, and it actually like did me very well in terms of like valuing myself and like standing up for myself as a person. So I decided to continue going on with like giving up a negative value in my life instead of giving up arbitrary things like give up sweets or give up ice cream or give up anything that brings you joy, because I think that's not for me, you know. But anyway, I gave up self-doubt for Lent, so that means I'm gonna have to try all of the things that I've wanted to try and like stop shitting on myself when I don't get things right immediately. So that brings me into the first big project that I have for myself. And that is, I haven't knitted on this in a little bit just because my fingers were getting tired, because it's all in fingering weight and all in brioche. This is the newspaper sweater, which I am so excited about this. So this is my first ever brioche project. I did a little bit of brioche on my shawlography, which I'll talk about after this, but this is all in fingering weight. If you watched my other knitting video that I made like a year ago, you might recognize the yarn that I'm using in this, because I was knitting a little like garter stitch striped cardigan in these color yarns last year, and the needles were so tiny and it was all in garter stitch, and like I worked on it for like 6 months off and on, and I had only made it about like this much, and I was very, very, very tired of looking at it, and I was kind of just hating the entire process. And while I think the garment is something that I would have gotten a lot of wear out of, I was hating the process so much that I knew I was never going to get there. So I frogged the whole thing, which was kind of painful a little bit, but I think it's ultimately very worth it because I decided to do this. So I participated in the Revelolympics, whatever. My local yarn shop had a team. We had a knit night on opening night of the Olympics, and basically the only instructions I saw were to pick an Olympic-sized knitting project for you to work on during the Olympics. And here's the thing, outside of baseball, I don't follow sports. So just because in thinking about like, oh, how long are the Olympics? Those are usually like, 6 weeks? You know, surely I didn't realize the Olympics were 2 weeks. And I felt like a full sweater in brioche would definitely be an Olympic-sized knitting project for myself. But I didn't realize that I was supposed to make it in 2 weeks. So I got this much. And it's really cute, and I like how it's turning out. I definitely was nowhere near finishing it. But I really love how it's turning out, because I know the original pattern was in black and white yarn. I wanted to have something with a little more color, so this is the Lana Grossa sock fingering weight yarn. I forget what the exact like type of yarn this is, but it's in the shade Samosa, which I feel like looks really nice with it. I might need to buy one more thing of it. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm super proud of how this is coming out. I just had to take a break from it because it's all in brioche fingering weight, and I do have a bit of arthritis in my hands, and with how tiny the yarn is, I was like, okay, take a little break, take a little breather. And I also, since it was just like taking so long to do, I wanted to have something with a little bit more instant gratification, you know. So my plan is to still try and finish this by around my birthday, which is April 22nd, which I think I'll 100% be able to do. And I am genuinely excited to finish it. I just needed like a little bit of a break. So next up, I want to talk about the shawlography shawl that I'm working on. I'm not going to bring it out because I done goofed, y'all. So it's in my knitting bag. It is in here. And I've been working on it ever since the Mystery Knit Along started. I haven't, and that was like in October. I haven't been very diligent about working on it because I've enjoyed it. I love all of the West Knits patterns. I think Stephen West is a brilliant designer, and I think he has really good tutorials because that whole shawl so far, I just got to the brioche part on it. And that whole shawl is just like, each section is something new, a new technique to learn, which I think is fantastic, and it's definitely upped my skills as a knitter. But the needles I was using were a pair of wooden circulars, and I didn't realize this because I just had it in my bag as kind of my secondary project of working off and on, like just doing a section here or there when I kind of felt like it. The needles broke and like half of my stitches are off, and I technically know how to fix it, and I know that it will all be okay because I know that it is a fixable thing. But considering how complex the design is and how much of a pain in the ass I know getting the like stitches back on my needles will be, I'm doing the anxiety thing where I'm like, out of sight, out of mind. I can just simply pretend that it isn't there. I know that that's not good for me to do, but it's my coping mechanism right now, because I've just, yeah, it got so long and I got so far and I have so much to fix. So I'm just leaving it in there until I have an afternoon where I feel like I'm not at, you know, that anxiety point in my knitting where I'm just gonna like, you know, because it'll definitely take like a while for me to get that back into shape, and get that back where it needs to be. So I have talked to the folks in my local yarn shop and they've given me some tips, and I know that I can always bring it in if I need to like have a little bit of extra help. But if anyone has any tips of like getting, you know, just helping make that process of fixing the problem a little less stressful, because I'm not about to frog that whole thing. I'm very proud of how far I've come, and I'm really excited to see the finished product. I think it's gonna look great. The colors I chose are super fun and super like Halloween-y, and I really want to be able to finish it so I can wear it. Just where I am right now is a very terrifying and stressful place for me to be. So with that being said, let's move on to my other current whip, which is much less terrifying and much more happy making. So my local yarn shop recently had a trunk show from the local dyer, Ridiculous Yarn, and she's based out of Dundalk, which is super close. And so I bought like 4 skeins of the Joker DK in Tiki Bar, which is absolutely gorgeous. Like I saw it on their wall and I was like, yep, I need all of it. I need a sweater quantity. So I'm making the Jessie made ripple crop in the worsted weight. And I'll show you my progress. I'm almost done with the back. So here's how it's looking. I have used already one full ball, and then enough to get down to this one, and then I have 2 more leftovers. I'm definitely gonna have leftovers from this, but I'm loving how it's going. I tried it on and it works super, like it fits really, really well. So this is what it's kind of knitting up to look like. I'm really happy with it. So I've made a Jessie Made pattern before, the little like contrast racer bra thing. I made that for Case, and so I really like her designs. I love how like size inclusive they are. I love how like simple yet fun they are. So I also kind of know how their sizing fits me a little bit. In that I know that I generally have to go a size down for the width, but make it a little bit longer to fit me, because I also tried making one of the tank tops that she has up for free, and it was very fun, but I had to kind of go back because I realized that it was not nearly long enough for what I needed to fit my torso. I think I just have a very long torso or something, because I even tried this on because I wanted to make it a little bit longer so I could potentially also like wear it to work as like a cute little t-shirt, but like elevated. And I tried it on today. The width is perfect, but I knitted like a good 3 extra inches on there, and it's still very much a crop top on me. I'm not gonna like go back and fix it. I'm not gonna go add any more length or anything, because it's still gonna look really good. I'm just not gonna be able to wear it for like the occasions that I anticipated wearing it, and that's fine. It's gonna look great. But I think I just have like a longer torso than what like is in her patterns. And I guess that that's a pretty easy thing for me to sort of fix in like the patterns. Like it's not anything that I have to like adjust a stitch count for. I just have to knit a little bit longer, but it's really good. So what I did for fit wise, normally I would go down to a size large in her stuff, but I wanted to knit this with smaller needles since I know that sometimes I can knit things a little loosely and it can go a little see-through. So I went like half a size needle down, and I stayed in an extra large, and it fits exactly how I need it to. And I'm very, very, very excited for how it's turning out. I made a lot of progress on it this weekend because after Dana got home from the concert, the next day I was working from home, and we were very much like not wanting to go out or do anything because we were so tired from the concert. So we like stayed in and watched all of like the Marvel shows that my dad hasn't seen yet because he doesn't have internet, so he can't watch all the stuff on Disney Plus. So we watched like WandaVision and Hawkeye, and we got through part of Loki, and then we've also, he's a basketball fan and I'm not, but we've been watching the ACC tournament. Last night was great because we're both Duke and Virginia Tech fans, so we thought it was a good outcome either way. But anyway, that's all to say that between Friday and yesterday, because yesterday was snowing, so we also did not go anywhere. Like we grabbed lunch and that was it, because we did not want to do a whole lot on a snow day. But that's to say, I've made a lot of progress on this top because of this weekend, and I'm hoping tomorrow is my other day off. I work on Sundays because I work at a church, so I work Sunday mornings. But between tonight and tomorrow, I'm honestly wondering if I might be able to finish it or get very close to finishing it. My like long goal, like if I don't get it done today or tomorrow, I just want to have it finished by like next weekend, because Case and I are going to go see Reliant K, and I want to wear something cute for that, something cute and homemade. So there's that. And I'm also thinking I'm going to have a lot of leftover yarn from this because I definitely overbought, which is fine because I love this colorway. I feel like it's so pretty and so me, you know? And it's very soft and has just generally been a pleasure to work with. Like this is exactly the sort of texture of a yarn that I enjoy. It's like a super wash sort of texture and a DK weight. It's really nice. Anyway, that's to say, I think I'm gonna make a sweater for Goose. he's sleeping right here with me, so I'm going to bother this animal. Hello, sleepy boy. Hello, baby. So anyway, he's gonna get a sweater and we're gonna match. I'm not going to knit a sweater for his sister, mostly because she would absolutely hate me. But Goose is a pretty stylish boy. He has a sweatshirt. It's not his favorite thing in the world, but he definitely, I don't know, he would look cute in a little sweater, I think. And that won't use up all of the yarn, I think, but that'll get me on my way, and then I'll have a matching shirt with my cat. And that'll be great. Do I look so cute? Oh, he's falling asleep. I'll let you back down, buddy. Are you gonna leave me after that? Like, I wouldn't blame you, dude. Sir, don't. Well, he just snagged the yarn on my knitting. That's great. Thanks, buddy. So that's what is on my needles right now. Hopefully, I'm gonna probably do another one of these again in like 2 weeks. So hopefully I'll have some more finished objects for y'all then. To talk about some of my other knitting plans that I have. Like, I have a lot more sweaters that I want to make for myself. I also, a friend of mine from seminary who, well, I'm friends with both her and her husband. Anyway, they're super close friends of ours. Their due date, they're pregnant, and their baby's due date is on my birthday on April 22nd. So I'm going to knit some very cute baby things. So I have a lot of patterns that I need to narrow down for what I want to make. I was considering making something like baby in this oatmeal yarn because I think the yarn color would look super nice with some of the things that I'm looking at, but it's definitely too scratchy for a baby pattern. But I did see a cute little like kind of Lord of the Rings cape style thing that comes in like baby, toddler, and child, so I might still knit that, but like in that yarn for maybe like an older child perhaps, and still give it to them. That way I can use up some of that yarn, and that yarn would look really good in that style, but also making some like baby things. I asked them what they really needed, and they said they didn't have a whole lot of like baby socks, so I think I have a couple of good patterns for that, and I'm gonna just go out this weekend and get some baby yarn in like all the different colors and knit some little baby socks, because I think I can manage that on some circular needles. And that would also be another good like instant gratification sort of project. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I have a lot of yarn on my wish list. I really want to order, you know, from more indie dyers this year, and kind of also as I'm thinking about like knitting more things for myself, you know, I want to actually invest in good yarn to make things for myself. So especially since I want to knit more like garments and sweaters, I know that's going to be more expensive, but I also feel like if I'm going to get a lot of use out of it, it'll definitely be worth it. So I recently did discover there's indie dyer Nerdy Knits Yarn, who does yarn based off of different video games, and the two main video games that they have up are Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing, aka the two video games that I play all the time, and who boy, if they came out with some Borderlands themed colors, that would be like my holy trinity right there. Especially a lot of the Stardew Valley yarns I'm very, very interested in. They have one based off of Abigail, which is like this beautiful bright blue and purple fade colorway, and then I love the one in Gus too. I want to just like get a skein of that. It's like a kind of mustardy yellow with a hint of teal in there, and I think that that would make a very nice like hat or sort of like small project there. All in all, their yarns just look so pretty, and I love that they're based off of the things that I like. I also want to order from Suki Mountain Fibers, since they're the one who designed the Critical Knit sweater that I made, and they have some different like fade sets up on their Etsy, and I'm thinking of doing that because they have one from like their Halloween collection from last year that's still up. I want to get all of the colors from the Halloween collection. So those are some indie dyers that I'm kind of keeping my eyes on. If you see anything, you know, kind of along those lines that you think I would like, I love kind of like both jewel tones and earth tones are the colors that I really like to wear and knit with. So if you see anything up that alley, let me know. That's what I'm keeping my eye out for. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for sitting here for like a half hour or so. And I will hopefully see y'all in about 2 weeks with another video, hopefully with some more finished objects. Goose is laying on top of Case's sweater, so he's just infusing that with all of his love. Anyway, thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. And I will see y'all in my next one. I hope you'll have a wonderful day. Bye!